Hey everyone, it is Ed Gutowski, and I want you to notice there's a little something different about this video. Notice I don't have the big old scruffy beard, so I decided to shave. What I wanted to do though was to make sure you watch the full video, because at the end of this video I have a question that will be part of the discussion board. It's a trick. So what I wanted to do was to create a video lecture where we talk about the next step in rhetoric and argument. I've read the discussion boards. I'm kind of trying to do my best to kind of catch up, do the grading as quickly as I can. So I know some things come in on Sunday. I'm trying to grade them as quick as I can on Monday and Tuesday. Get some stuff back to you. I've loved the discussion on rhetoric and argument. And I would point out that what our class really likes to do is they like to use the word persuade as part of their definition of rhetoric. And we'll put that to the test in the next couple of weeks. I'm still going to maintain my definition of rhetoric as words that are used to manipulate, to deceive, and to con people. However, I'm now going to add to another understanding of rhetoric and argument, because we know rhetoric and argument use three things. It uses logos, pathos, and ethos. Rhetoric and argument use logic, emotion, and character and authority. Some students have referred to ethos as morals and ethics, which is fine, but I'm going to define ethos as character and authority. So now I'm going to show you how rhetoric and argument kind of separate itself, because there's something that rhetoric always uses that a good argument always tries to avoid. And there comes my cat. Get out of here, cat. Anyways, rhetoric. So there's something that, a way that rhetoric separates itself from an argument, because rhetoric will always use this and a good argument will try to avoid it. And so we're going to talk today about fallacies. And so what you want to do is you want to pull out your St. Martin's Handbook, and on St. Martin's Handbook, in between right around page 150, there are a list of fallacies in our textbook. And I think it's important to understand fallacies, because once you recognize fallacies, some of them are easy to identify, some of them are silly, and some of them are just plain dumb. But if you look at the word fallacy, or you hear the word fallacy, notice the first thing that comes to mind for most students is something that is false or something that is fake. And I think it's important because, you know, when you recognize fallacies, right, it can help rhetoric have less of an impact on you. Because if you accept my definition of rhetoric as words that are used to mislead, deceive, and con people, right, then when you come out in the real world and you come across someone using a fallacy, someone that's saying that something false or something fake, what your brain does is it critically thinks, and rhetoric will have less of an impact on you. So I think it's important to understand how fallacies work. If in our textbook, there are something more between 15 and 18 fallacies, and there are a couple of fallacies that I really, really like, right? One of the easiest fallacies is the bandwagon, right? The bandwagon is everyone else is doing it, why aren't you, right? Everyone else is taking Professor Gutowski, why aren't you? Everyone else is smoking pot, why aren't you, right? So the bandwagon fallacy is one of the easier fallacies. There are two other fallacies that I think are kind of funny and easy to identify. One of them is the ad hominem. And notice an ad hominem is when you attack a person's character rather than addressing an issue. So the ad hominem attacks a person's character rather than addressing an issue. So imagine that you have a student in our class who says something to the extent of, hey, don't take Professor Gutowski. Don't take Professor Gutowski, he's just like Hitler. Don't take Professor Gutowski, he's just like Saddam Hussein. Don't take Professor Gutowski, he's a son of a bitch. Notice what that student did was they used an ad hominem. They attacked my character rather than addressing an issue. They didn't say, hey, don't take Professor Gutowski, he makes videos that are confusing. Don't take Professor Gutowski, his online class is fairly weak. Don't take Professor Gutowski, he doesn't always get your papers back on time. Right? Rather than addressing an issue, that person attacked my character. And then the final fallacy that I always like is I like the non sequitur. And the non sequitur is when you take two things that have nothing in common and you associate them together. So if we go across another student might say something like, hey, don't take Professor Gutowski's class, it's just like Auschwitz. Don't take Professor Gutowski's class, it's like being in a concentration camp. Well, notice that is a total non sequitur. That is associating two things that have nothing in common, right? Notice associating me with Hitler was an ad hominem. It's also a non sequitur. Notice associating my class with a concentration camp is also a non sequitur. Those things don't have anything in common. And I think I like the ad hominem and the non sequiturs because we see them all the time. We see them in presidential campaigns. We see them. So I think they're important fallacies to know. So what you're going to do in the next discussion board is a couple things. Remember, there's a trick at the end of this video. The first thing I want to know is, which of the fallacies did you find the best? Which one did you like the worst? And then I want to know what you think of me without my beard. And I want to know, how do I look without having a beard? I'm going to check that on the discussion board. And I want to know what you think about the fact that a cat jumped in our video. Anyways, I'm looking forward to seeing what you think about fallacies, and it'll help us give a better understanding of how rhetoric and argument works.